Welcome to Weaving Happiness Through Grief, where we navigate the delicate balance between love, loss, and the resilient heart. I'm Stephanie, an author and storyteller who found joy and healing after the unimaginable heartbreak of losing a once-in-a-lifetime love. This podcast dives into the raw truth of grief, the beauty of cherished memories, and the hope of new beginnings. Through my journey, rediscovering happiness and opening my heart again, I've learned that grief and joy can coexist, and love can find us when we least expect it. Join me as we honor the past, embrace the present, and step boldly into the future with courage and vulnerability. Let's celebrate the resilience of the human spirit and the beauty of living fully, even after a loss. Welcome back. It was May of 2021. We'd made it through COVID. We tried to protect him the best we could, and we were able to avoid COVID at all costs because we knew that would have been the end if Jeff caught COVID. So we were really protective most of that time frame. It was the night before our anniversary. It was May 16th of 2021, and he was telling me he wanted to make plans for dinner for the next night, which I thought was so sweet because he was always thinking of me and always thinking of us and how to make things special for us. He was just such a unique individual and had a heart that just I absolutely adored. He was telling me about these plans he was making, and I kind of pretended to go along with him in the sense where in my head I thought, if it happens, that would be great. But deep down, I kind of thought, well, we'll see how you feel tomorrow, babe. In my head, I would say that. We woke up the next morning, and I woke up thinking, I'm going to tell him happy anniversary, lean over and look at him in bed, and I could see that he was struggling breathing. He was already awake. I didn't know what to make of it, and I started talking to him, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? What's going on? He goes, I'm struggling. And mind you, Jeff's a respiratory therapist. This is exactly what he did for a living. He dealt with people's breathing. He's like, get the humidifier and try this and try that. And so we tried different things, and we just thought he was having some breathing issues. Well, the breathing issues turned into more belabored breath and more belabored breath. And I looked at him and I'm like, Jeff, we need to go to the doctors or at least call them. And he insisted, it's our anniversary, we're not going. So we fought for a while on this, and these are the struggles, right? They were tough ones. And so I listened to him for a while, but when I could see clearly it wasn't getting any better, I said to him, I'm like, Jeff, I need to call the doctor. So I call them. They look at me. They tell me, I say that a lot, sorry. But they tell me, I need you to do some tests on him. So we checked his pulse, his oxygen levels. Everything was extremely low to the point where they said to me, call 911. I looked at Jeff and said, we need to call 911 right now and get you to the hospital. He said, absolutely not. You're not calling 911. And he could barely even speak to me. So everything was in between broken breaths. It was, honeybee, no. So against my judgment, I hesitantly drove him, but there was no time for arguing. So we drove to the hospital. I raced over to City of Hope. We get there. He gets inside. I couldn't go in because some of the COVID rules were still going on. So I thought, okay, I'm going to go run an errand, distract myself. I'm going to go get some gas in the car and fill it up. As I'm filling up the tank, I get a call from the hospital. And I hear on the other end, Stephanie, yes, I need you to come in right now. This is the surgeon. And I'm thinking the surgeon, like, this can't possibly be surgeon. Like, he was just having trouble breathing. We need you to get back to the hospital immediately. Please drive safely. And they hung up. I raced back to the hospital. When I get there, I threw the car in park, run into the emergency room. I left everything in the vehicle because I'm thinking, oh my God, they're telling me to hurry back. So I thought I have to get there quickly. I get back to the hospital. I leave my purse, my phone, everything in the vehicle. The doors are open. I race in there. The nurse grabs me, runs me down the hallway. And Jeff's sitting there with an oxygen mask on. And he looks at me and he said, honeybee, they want to do a tracheotomy on me. And that's what he did for a living. And he said, I won't have it. There's no way. And this, mind you, is all in between barely being able to get the words out. He said, no. And I'm looking at him and I don't know, like, this is so out of my comfort zone of what we're doing. And this is his expertise. And he's also the patient, but I'm supposed to be the one also advocating for him and guiding him and loving and supporting him. So I don't know what to do. He looks at all the doctors and nurses in the room and he points for everybody to get out. So it's just he and I in the room. And he said, I won't have it. I'm not going to let him do it. And in that moment, I took a few deep breaths and I just said, hun, you got two choices. You do the trach or you die. You're going to suffocate. And in that moment, my heart was racing because I thought, please don't pick the second one. Because I didn't know what he would choose and I had to support whatever decision he made. He was suffering so badly. And he just couldn't make the choice and he wanted me to do it. So he looked at me like, what do I do? And I'm like, are you ready to die today? And he wasn't. I could see in his eyes he wasn't ready, but he didn't want the trach. So we picked the less of two evils, which is live with a trach. And they took him in. Just a few days later, after he came out of it, a few days later, we were supposed to go on to one more check we were going to give on our bucket list. Paris was one. That would be our last one. The next, we were going to go to Nashville together because Jake had just transferred over to Vanderbilt and Maddie was graduating. So we were going to make our way over to take Jake to Vanderbilt, show him a tour of the campus, spend some time at the Grand Ole Opry, and do some things that we love, like country dancing, and then make our way up to Philadelphia for Maddie's graduation and go from there. And this is all because we were so optimistic and so hopeful that we're going to beat this, we're going to get through this, we're going to plan things and do things to keep living, even in the midst of all this fear that we had constantly in this chaos. Jeff never made another check on his bucket list. Paris was the last one. And I didn't want to go take Jake to go see this new school he was transferring to and Maddie's graduation because I couldn't possibly want to leave him in the hospital. Luckily, Jeff's family, his mom and sister came down from Canada and they all insisted that I had to go and be with the kids and not miss these milestones for them. So begrudgingly, I left. It took every ounce of energy to even pack a suitcase and leave him in the hospital and say goodbye, not knowing if I went across country, would I see him again? But the doctors assured me he's stable, he's fine. It was a very scary moment, but now he's very stable. So I took their word for it and said goodbye to him. Still in the back of my mind going, could this be my last kiss, my last goodbye to him? But I also knew that my priorities were my children as well. And as much as the focus was Jeff and saving him and supporting him, I also knew that not losing myself and my family in the process and taking care of those priorities in my life as well, if I could do both at times and balance them, was equally important. And so not only did Jeff and the doctors and his family and my family encourage me to go, but I finally got up the courage and we got on that plane, went to see Jake's new campus in Nashville, got to see Maddie graduate, and we all made it back home and enjoyed that time with Jeff. What I learned from that is that sometimes these life and death decisions, you don't know if you're making the right one in that moment. But what I do know is once we made it, we couldn't look back. We couldn't second guess ourselves. And I didn't. We made the decision. He was going to have the trach. It's what we decided together in that moment. And it was a quick, instant life and death decision. We learned to create and isolate these little boxes in our life. We compartmentalized, and we did it over and over again. And I put that in a place where I thought, okay, I have to do whatever I can to put Jeff here, call him, check in on him, knowing I could fly home, but enjoy that moment with the kids. And that compartmentalizing was such a key component of getting through this hole and not completely losing who we were and who I was.
As we close this episode of Weaving Happiness Through Grief, I want to thank you for joining me on this journey of remembrance, resilience, and rediscovery. Loss is a path none of us choose, but together we can walk through it, honoring the love that was and of the life that still awaits us. If today's story touched a part of your own journey, know that you're not alone. Grief, though profound, doesn't close us off from joy. It teaches us how to hold space for both love and loss. And sometimes, it opens our hearts to unexpected new beginnings. Join me next time as we continue to explore healing, acceptance, and the beautiful bittersweet moments that remind us life can still be filled with happiness. And remember, while we honor the love that has shaped us, we open ourselves to the hope that the future holds. Please head over to the show notes to find out more of the ways I offer guidance on the topics I discuss in the podcast, or visit thestephanieduran.com. Until next time, take gentle steps forward, hold your memories close, and know that joy and love in all its forms continues on.